It is getting closer and closer to that time of year in the golf season, and I'm not talking about Christmas. I am talking about the release of the new Taylormade Sim 2 fairway woods. We actually have quite a lot of information about them, which I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, and we even have some pre-released photos of them, which we're going to be talking through, as well as possibly some new technology that's going in there. Apparently some of the R&D guys from Taylormade have kind of said they've never been more excited about a driver release before, which I think is quite interesting, especially as more and more drivers get released and we as consumers are kind of left to wonder what's really changing, how much is it really affecting us as golfers, and are we just wasting our money? But there is a lot to talk about with this. There looks like there might be some new exciting features, and let's dive straight into it. So last week Tiger Woods was out doing a photo shoot, and it looks like he had a new Taylormade Sim 2 driver in his bag. If we take a look at this photo of his golf bag on the back of the trolley, we'll notice his patented Tiger head cover and everything. But if we look next to that closely, there is a mysterious white and kind of bluey green driver head cover in the bag, which, why would Tiger ever have another driver head cover unless there was some kind of product launch or photo shoot or release or something happening? So that's the first piece of information we know. So these drivers are coming, they're coming soon. If you're thinking about buying a driver, you're probably going to be better off waiting a couple of months until January, February to see what else is released. Normally a lot of the brands go a bit crazy around this time of year, and we'll get a lot of new products in the coming months. But we do have some actual photos of this driver, which we are going to be having a look at very, very soon. But let's talk about what else we know about this driver. So it seems that Taylormade will be continuing the Sim lineup, which makes sense. The Sim driver was very popular, and why would you stray away from that? We've known Taylormade to continue a product lineup if it is successful for a number of years. We had M1 and M2, and then M1 and M2 2017, and then M3 and M4, M5 and M6, and obviously we never had M7 or M8, which was interesting because obviously they continued the R lineup of drivers. Was it R11 the last one, I think? Yeah. So that's kind of interesting in and of itself. So we expect them to stay with Sim at least for another year. It'd be interesting to see if they stay with it after that. I'm not so sure. Maybe they'll just do one more year, see how that goes, and then, take a look at the results from that and make a decision. But they are sticking with Sim 2.0 for this year, and it looks very interesting. I'm not 100% sold on it, but we will be taking a look at those photos very soon. But let's previously talk about the previous Taylormade Sim drivers. I got to hit them for the first time at the PGA show in Florida last January, and yeah, I thought they were good. They felt really good off the face was my initial thought, and they sounded really good. I didn't get onto any launch monitors or do any comparisons with other drivers, but they seem to perform pretty well. I also hit the fairway woods, and I've actually got the hybrid in my golf bag at the moment. And yeah, I've enjoyed that as well, and that's been a very, very popular club out on tour. So what's going to be new with these drivers? Because in the previous models, it was all about speed in motion, this kind of aerodynamics which helps the club head move faster through the air. And the first thing I initially think that could be a new feature with these drivers, which would be actually really, really exciting, is if they had some kind of smart technology in them. We have seen that Cobra has released drivers with the Arcos smart sensors in them, which have been very, very popular and give you a bunch of different data feeding back on, where your drives go, how you're swinging it, everything else. So that's my first initial thought that could be a feature in these drivers. I think it would be a really good addition for Taylormade. They like to lead the golf world in technology, and I think that would be a good step for them. And it would be really interesting to see how they would do that, if they would do it any differently, if they would use Arcos as well in their drivers, or if they would maybe implement their own kind of technology. So that's a possible new feature I would love to see, and I think could be a really good selling point for them. I think with them continuing their sim lineup, that obviously stands for speed in motion, they have to be continuing some sort of marketing or technology based around aerodynamics. And normally they like to go more over the top with, new clubs than the previous club. So whatever the new club is, it does what the previous club did before it, but it just does it better. They've just exaggerated those features more. And it kind of leaves us as consumers wondering, why didn't you just do that one in the first place? Why didn't you just push it to the max? But they're a business, they have to sell products every year, and that is the answer to that. And also they spend a lot of money on R&D and research and development, and they are constantly trying to push the boundaries with their drivers, which is pretty tough nowadays with governing bodies kind of really cracking down on rules and laws and, to do with not just how big a driver can be, but other factors to do with it as well, ball speed off the club face, everything like that. So let's actually take a look at what these drivers look like, because I'm not completely sold and I want to get your guys' opinions on what you think these drivers are going to look like. We don't have a picture from on top of the driver club face, but apparently it's going to feature a black crown, which is actually really interesting and it's going to be a matte black crown, by the way. So it's kind of interesting because Taylormade hasn't really done a black crown for quite a while. I mean, all of the M series drivers, some of them were darker crowns, but they all had, to a degree, that strip of kind of white or grey across the front, which a lot of golfers, including myself, have really enjoyed and liked. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this looks like on top of the golf ball. So I found these images of a customized sim driver recently, and that kind of got me thinking we could be seeing something kind of similar with this. Obviously we've got this black painted strip across the front, and it does look pretty cool. It looks pretty kind of stealthy. I definitely like it, and I think we could possibly be seeing something similar. It will be interesting to see if Taylormade keeps that kind of strip across the front that has become very popular with a lot of golfers, or if they have some other kind of technology that they want to maybe work in there with the crown or something. I personally really like the strip they've had in all the M series and the Sim driver. I think it looks great, and I think a lot of golfers have really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's going to be apparently a matte black crown. Don't have any other information. Could be carbon, I'm guessing it's going to be a carbon crown, but just whether we see that carbon pattern, we'll have to wait and see. So let's take a look at the bottom of the driver. Are you guys ready for this? I'm not sold, so let's see what you guys think. We've got a few different images, so first of all, let's take a look at this one. What's your initial reaction when you see that? I would love to know. Comment down below, what do you think of that? I'm not 100% sure. I loved the look of the Sim drivers. I really did. This past year, I thought they were the best looking drivers probably Taylormade's ever made, I think, in my opinion. I don't think these are as good looking. I really hate that green. Like, I love the blue, I love the carbon, I love the white. Honestly, that little bit of green just ruins it for me. It makes me really hope this image isn't going to be real, but it looks like it is. I mean, I've got no other possible reason to think it wouldn't be real. You know, we've got everything on there. It looks completely legit. All the technology. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see on the front of the club face, again, we've got that speed pocket. It's become, you know, pretty popular in most Taylormade drivers. And then we've got this weight at the front of the driver, saying high MOI, low spin. You know, it says this driver is obviously a 10.5 degree. We can see as well, still adjustable in the neck and hosel. And then again at the back, it looks like it has some sort of weight or something as well. And there is some other technology in one of the other images I'm going to show you, which it looks like could be a feature. It's kind of unclear, but if it is a feature, it looks very, very exciting. So, what's your initial thoughts here? Obviously, we've got a carbon bottom to the driver. This says Sim 2, so it's not Sim 2 Max or anything. I guess that's going to be like the more forgiveness one, and we'd see that weight maybe further back in the head. Apparently, these drivers are going to have a deeper face as well, and that's why they're getting rid of that like speed track. So apparently like if we look at like the Callaway Epic drivers, they have a much like deeper club face. I mean deeper like top to bottom, and apparently a lot of golfers like that. I personally prefer a wider, a bigger kind of footprint. Just looks a little bit nicer to me. It's just personal preference really. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see the shape of it. It does look like a more kind of squashed, deeper club head, more similar to like a Callaway driver, that like an Epic or Sub-Zero or whatever. Other than that, we can't really see too much else from this picture. Yeah, apparently these drivers might be coming in a 430cc head as well as a 460, which would be interesting. That's quite a popular option for a lot of people. Not myself personally, because it's not very forgiving, but they can go quite a long way. Then let's take a look at this image here. This shows all three drivers in, well, yeah, all three drivers in the lineup basically. So on the left we've got Sim 2, which was the one we've just had a look at. Then we've got Sim 2 Max and Sim 2 Max D, which is obviously draw biased. So you've got that weight in the heel to help you hit those big high draws that everyone loves to hit. What do you guys think of this? There's a few things that jumped out at me when I first saw this. The first thing let's talk about, let's zoom in and take a look at the Sim Max 2. Sorry, this isn't like an amazing quality image. These are like pre-released, so we're not really supposed to be looking at them, so no, I'm joking. Share it with your friends. So anyway, Sim Max 2, what's different to Sim Max? Well, it looks like that weight in the club head might be movable, and it looks like you might be able to move it more into the heel of the club by the looks of this image. The only thing I think about that is, I think, why would you make a Sim Max D draw biased if you're making a Sim Max and you can move the weight into the heel anyway? I don't quite understand why you would then buy the draw biased one if you can make the Max more or less draw biased. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense, unless maybe it's a cheaper price, I guess, for that fixed weight in the club head. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I don't really understand that yet. But the main thing that jumps out for me as a piece of technology in these drivers, and I'm not really sure if it's going to happen, but it looks like there might be some kind of story with that weight at the back and with some kind of technology with the club face, and if it's connected or not. I mean, it doesn't seem to have a huge amount going on outside of the club head, so, and if we're hearing that the research and development guys are really excited about this driver, it leaves me thinking what's going on inside the club head, because there must be some story, there must be some sort of just something going on. And I think that will be really interesting to see. I think there will be, you know, Taylormade aren't going to release a driver that doesn't have more technology in it or some kind of new features in it than the previous driver. So I think we will see some sort of new face technology, you know, whether they continue with what they've been doing previously or have something brand new. I have no idea. I really hope we see the new, like, Arcos something technology in there as well that helps measure club head speed and everything else. Would be really cool. So what do you guys think of that? That's the kind of first look of them. We don't really know too much more at the moment. I would, price-wise, I would expect them to stay pretty similar to the previous generation. I think the Sim were actually a little bit cheaper than the M5 and M6. I think they started around £500. I think the Sim were about 420-ish. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep coming down in price or if they stay around there. I wouldn't, for Taylormade, if I was thinking about Taylormade, I wouldn't think they should come down in price because, and not saying I want to pay lots for golf clubs, but Taylormade are a premium golf brand. They don't want to be any less than like a Titleist or a Callaway. Otherwise, you kind of have that in your head that they might be better products if they're more expensive. So they're not going to be a budget, you know, driver or clubs or anything like that. So that will be really interesting to see. Let me know what you guys think of these images, of all this information. Do you guys know anything else? Have you heard anything else? Comment down below, let me know, I'd love to know. And, you know, what are you most excited about? Are you gonna be buying these straight away? Do you think they look good, bad, okay? Yeah, that's all we've got to talk about today, but I do hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you do like it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Grip it and rip it.